My name is Alan, and I never imagined that my own son could underestimate me so completely. For years, I had poured my heart into raising him, teaching him the value of hard work, respect, and determination. But somewhere along the way, something changed. He grew arrogant, dismissive, and worst of all, disrespectful. It all came to a head one Friday evening. I had spent the day preparing a big family dinner. The house smelled of roasted chicken, fresh herbs, and my son's favorite apple pie cooling on the counter. I had invited him over because, despite everything, I still wanted to maintain a connection with him. When he arrived, I greeted him warmly. But instead of returning the affection, he smirked and waved me off. "You can't do anything right." "Mom," he said casually, as if stating a fact rather than an insult. "I don't know why I even bother expecting anything from you. You're hopeless." I froze. His words cut through me like a knife, sharper than any argument we had ever had. I opened my mouth to respond, but no words came. I had raised him, sacrificed for him, and yet he could dismiss me in a single sentence. For a moment, I considered walking away, letting the insult hang in the air. But something inside me shifted. I realized that I couldn't let him continue believing that he had the right to treat me this way. Not only was I his mother, but I was also a capable, intelligent woman who had spent decades building a career of her own. And I wasn't about to let him forget it. "Really?" I said calmly, my voice steady despite the anger rising inside me. "You think I can't do anything right?" He laughed, a cruel, self-assured sound. "Yeah, Mom, it's true. Everything you try, you fail. Just admit it." I took a deep breath, maintaining eye contact. "Well, maybe it's time for you to see things differently. How about we make this interesting?" He raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued but still dismissive. "Interesting? What do you mean?" "I mean," I said, smiling faintly, "that in 48 hours you might be working for me." He burst out laughing. "For you? That's impossible." "You're joking, right?" I shook my head. "Not joking. In exactly 2 days, you'll understand what it means to underestimate someone." He scoffed and walked away, still chuckling. I could see that he thought I was bluffing. And honestly, maybe he was right. I hadn't fully mapped out the plan yet, but I was determined to make it happen. The next day, I started making calls. I reached out to an old colleague who owned a small but growing tech firm. I told her about my skills, my years of experience, and subtly, the opportunity to involve my son. She was intrigued by the challenge, and within hours, she agreed to a temporary project I could oversee. This wasn't just any project, it was a high-stakes client presentation that required leadership, strategy, and quick thinking. By Saturday morning, I had the plan ready. I invited my son over again, making it seem casual. He walked in, expecting another quiet weekend dinner, and I handed him an envelope. "What's this?" he asked, flipping it open. "Your new job?" I said simply. He looked confused and then angry. "What are you talking about?" "Mom, this has to be a joke." I shook my head. "No joke. My colleague's company needs someone to help manage a critical project for the next 2 days. And you've been selected to assist me." His mouth fell open. "Assist you?" "Mom, I'm an adult. I have a life. I don't need to... I can't... This is ridiculous." "Exactly," I said, smiling. "You're about to learn just how ridiculous it feels to underestimate someone who actually knows what they're doing." He groaned and muttered under his breath. But I could see the curiosity flicker in his eyes. Despite himself, he wanted to know what would happen. By Saturday afternoon, we arrived at the office. My son's jaw dropped as he took in the bustling environment, the team of professionals waiting for us, and the stack of files that demanded attention. "This is... real?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. "Yes, it's real," I said. "And in 48 hours, you'll either sink or swim under my guidance." The first few hours were chaotic. My son tried to assert himself, offering suggestions that were unrealistic and impractical. I calmly corrected him, explaining why certain strategies would fail and showing him alternatives based on my years of experience. The team responded well to my direction, following my lead and executing tasks efficiently. My son was clearly flustered. He wasn't used to seeing people take my advice seriously, let alone follow it without question. "Mom, how are you so good at this?" he muttered, unable to hide the mixture of frustration and admiration. I smiled, leaning back. "Because I actually know what I'm doing. And you'll learn that sometimes experience beats arrogance every time." By Sunday morning, the pressure was on. A critical client meeting was scheduled, and the success of the project depended on flawless execution. I assigned roles, delegated tasks, and rehearsed the presentation with the team. My son, now reluctantly compliant, followed my instructions. Realizing that his previous mocking attitude had no place here, during the presentation, I took the lead, introducing the project, addressing client concerns, and presenting our strategy. The client was impressed, nodding and asking questions that I answered confidently. My son sat beside me, stunned, as the client repeatedly praised my leadership, my insight, and my ability to manage the team seamlessly. After the meeting, my colleague turned to me, beaming. "Linda, that was incredible. Your leadership saved this project." "I can't thank you enough." I glanced at my son, who looked pale and speechless. I could see the realization dawning on him. The woman he had mocked, the one he had assumed was incapable, was now the person everyone looked up to. By Sunday evening, the project was successfully completed. My son had experienced 2 full days of seeing me in command, making critical decisions and earning respect from professionals. He finally turned to me, his voice subdued. "Mom, I didn't realize." "You didn't realize?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "You called me hopeless just 2 days ago. And now you've seen firsthand that experience, dedication, and intelligence are not things to mock." He swallowed hard. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things. I underestimated you completely." I nodded, feeling a mix of pride and relief. "Apology accepted. But remember this lesson, son. Mocking someone, especially someone who raised you, never ends well. Respect has to be earned, and once it's lost, it takes time to rebuild." He hung his head, clearly chastened. For the first time in years, he looked at me not as a mother he could dismiss, but as a person he could respect. The next morning, he called his friends to tell them about what had happened. For the first time, he spoke about me with pride rather than embarrassment. I, too, felt a sense of vindication, but more importantly, I felt hope. Hope that our relationship could heal, built now on respect and understanding rather than arrogance and mockery. In the end, it wasn't just about proving a point. It was about showing my son that people should never be judged by age, gender, or assumptions. Sometimes, the person who seems the least capable on paper is actually the one who can rise to the challenge and change the course of a family dynamic forever. Looking back, I smile. "You can't do anything right," he had said. But 48 hours later, I became his boss, not out of spite, but out of necessity. Out of a desire to teach him the value of respect, humility, and recognizing true talent when it stands right in front of you. That weekend didn't just transform my son's opinion of me, it transformed our relationship. And maybe, just maybe, it changed the man he would become. And as I watch him now, trying to approach life with a little more humility, I can't help but feel proud not of being the boss, but of finally being heard, respected, and appreciated for everything I have always been capable of.